Hi there. Welcome back to another quick and easy watercolor painting. I'm Rod Bergeron, and let's see if we can make some cool intuitive painting today. And I wet the page from about the halfway mark down to about the 1/3 mark, and I just put some blue on there, a couple of blue streaks, but I left some white. I left some white space, so I left some white space down here, and hopefully that will allow those to all come together. All right, so let's try a little bit of Payne's Gray across here. Now, I was just out for a walk this morning, and I seen these fields that I thought were pretty interesting, and there was like a long streak of like a long line of green trees, but then there was all of these trees that are much closer, that were much greener. So I thought we'd give that a crack today. So I'm not going to rinse this brush out. I'm just going to touch it into my water and pull it right back out and touch it into this wash again. And I'm going to pick up this green. I'm not going to put it back into that wash. I'm just going to put it right along here in a few places. I'm going to do the same thing here. It's very green this time of year here in Southern Ontario. I'd love to know where you're from. If you're from, anywhere in the world, I'd love to know where you're from. It really makes my painting here really interesting to learn where people are from. Like, I can't believe where some people follow me from. It just seems unimaginable to me, but it is true. Okay, so this is some sienna, and I'm just going to touch this sienna in a few places like that and like that. All right, that's turned out pretty good. Now I want this to be sort of those summer fields where everything is already started to dry up and, get very, the grass is sort of burnt, I guess is the way that I want to say it. But before we do that, I'm going to take my #1 watercolor brush that I sharpened an end on, and I'm just going to use it to scribe into this, add some interesting scribe marks for where some trees might be or some low-level brush might be. And wherever you scribe into, that the color that you scribe into is probably going to be what the color of the scribe marks are going to be. So those scribe marks right there are probably going to be sienna. It just makes sense, right? Okay, let's take this brush, pick up as much yellow ochre as we possibly can. I should also say, the reason I use a 3/4 inch flat brush is it holds a lot of moisture, and it allows me to get from one side of the page to the other. I'm working on 4.5 by 6, which is a really good size for me working, doing stuff for YouTube. It just seems to be the best size for me to display my YouTube videos on. It helps me move quick, keeps me motivated to do stuff in a very dramatic, quick fashion. Look how that's already started to dry up across there, and those marks right there are pretty cool, right? Okay, so there's not enough dark in this, and when I look at this, I automatically think, it's very almost monochromatic. There's a lot of green, but there's not a lot else that's happening in here. So I'm just going to touch my my brush into some Payne's Gray where the bottom of the trees might be, and I'm also going to take my scribing tool. You know, I'm using the sharpened end of my paintbrush, but you can use anything really. You know, you can use a barbecue skewer, wooden toothpick, anything like that really works. Okay, so I want to go for a little bit of drama here in this, so I'm going to pick up some blue and I'm going to touch it into a few places. Again, very expressively, just, you know, allow the paint to flow out to wherever it's going to be. And I'm going to make these into quite a bit longer almost like reeds maybe, and pull them, you know, out of the bottom up into stuff like that. And here we'll put a couple of scribe marks in here too, and allow that blue and green to all mix together. All right, that's turned out pretty cool. The way that that blue is mixing with that brown and stuff going on in there, that's all right. Okay, one more little trick. I got my bag of salt here. Just gonna put a few grains of salt in a few places. I'm not gonna overdo it. You know, just a few grains of salt, not a whole lot. Wherever you think you want a bit of drama. All right. I think that's done. Let's let this dry and see what we get. You know, one more thing before I leave this part of the video. Not everything turns out. And if you think of every painting as just being an experiment, every painting is just being an opportunity to create something and allow yourself to have some fun, right? Because this should be fun. It shouldn't always be, you know, that everything's going to be a masterpiece. It's not. I'm here to tell you, you know, maybe 1 in 5 things that I do ends up on YouTube. The rest of it ends up just in a pile, sometimes in the recycling. All right, let's let this dry and see what we get. All right, this took quite a while to dry, but let's have a look at it. Look at what this salt has done. Like, I think using the salt sparingly, like each one of these is basically a grain of salt. So using the salt sparingly gives you this really nice effect. And then remember that green streak that we put down here? And then all of the layers of paint on top of it. Watercolor painting, you should always think about layering and layering and layering. And I think if we put this on here, you see it's a pretty interesting little painting. Lots of nice lines coming out of that blue and out of that Payne's gray and stuff. And look at our scribe lines around here. I think it's really interesting that this green line in the background, you know, that we put on very early, allowed that paint to bleed way back into the background and create a really great depth of field for us. All right, I think that turned out all right. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know where you're from. If you're currently a subscriber, thanks a lot. And if you're not currently a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks a lot for watching today. And if you're looking for any of the products that I use, there's links to all of them in the description. If you would use those links, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again next time.